Students, I'm Naran Rao. Today I'm going to discuss about sexual reproduction in plants. Reproduction, the generating system, is the topic which you have in your biology. In that topic, I selected a subtopic, that is sexual reproduction in plants. Sexual reproduction in plants. By this video, by this slideshow, you are going to learn about, at the end of this video, you are going to learn about the basic concepts of sexual reproduction in plants. So before going to that, we need to recall our previous knowledge with regarding this flowering plants. So plants can be classified into two types: non-flowering plants, flowering plants. In the flowering plants, we know that gymnosperms and angiosperms. So when coming to this flowering plants, all the flowering plants will perform sexual reproduction to generate their offsprings. So far we know about nearly 2,75,000 species of flowering plants on this earth. So most of the plants, what you have seen, what you are going to see in your surroundings, almost all are flowering plants. So let us recall the parts of the plant. If you observe a potted plant, you can easily recognize what are the leaves, what is the stem, what are the roots, and what are the fruits, and what are the flowers. So now classify them into vegetative parts and sexual parts. Yes, leaves, roots, stem, these are all come under vegetative parts, and only the flower comes under sexual part of the plant. So flower is the reproductive part of the plant. I have already told that it is the sexual part, and it acts as a reproductive part of the plant. So flower is the reproductive part, and you have to know what are the parts consist this flower. So parts and functions of a flower. See, you can observe 4 parts: sepals, petals, stamen, and carp. So let us study one by one. Sepals. These sepals can be seen small in structure within the flower, or within the flower, and their function is to protect the flower. Petals. Petals are the reproductive part of the plant and part of the flower, and it attracts the insects. It can be seen in different colors. By these different colors, it can attract the insects. Next, carpel. Carpel is known as female part in the flower. So the carpel can produce egg cells, and these egg cells can act as female gametes. Next, stamens. Stamens are male part of the plant, and this male part can produce male gametes. So you have to know the words of the flower. A typical flower consists of these four words or parts like structures: calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. So calyx and corolla are the accessory organs. Accessory organs means they are important parts of the flower, and androecium and gynoecium are the reproductive parts. So androecium means it is the male part, gynoecium means it is the female part. See here. So in the flowers, they have both stamen and carpel. Some flowers are only consist either of the male or female parts. So we can classify this flower as bisexual flower and unisexual flower. If you observe the papaya tree, it contains only one unisexual flower, whether it is male or female. So when you are going to observe datura, which can be seen in our surroundings frequently, it has a bisexual flower. So we can differentiate what is androecium and what is gynoecium. In the gynoecium, pistil is another name for the gynoecium. Stamens are come under the androecium. So when you're going to observe about the reproductive parts of the plant, we can easily differentiate whether it is bisexual or unisexual. So this is the gynoecium and androecium parts of the plants. Gynoecium consists stigma, style and ovary. In the androecium, the stamen consists an anther, a filament. These two parts come under androecium and these three parts come under gynoecium. These two parts, gynoecium and androecium, produce sex cells. Sex cells, those sex cells can participate in this reproduction to produce an offspring or a seed. So you can observe the pollen grains, that is the anther, and that is the stamen, which consists anther, and anther produce pollen grains. They are the gametes, they are the male gametes in the flower. See here, we can you can see the ovary, and that ovary consists of small bulb-like structures. They are called as ovule. Those ovule act as a female gametes. So these two can be called as gametes. The pollen grains are the male gametes and ovules are the female gametes. Next, so the flowering plant, which are the flowering plants, those participate this reproduction or sexually. They participate sexually to generate their individuals or their copy of offspring organisms. So you need to know about the difference between self and cross pollination. So the process where the male gametes can be reached to the female gametes is known as fertilization, and that fertilization can be done after this pollination. The reaching of the pollen grains to the stigma. Pollen grains are the male gametes, and those pollen grains need to be reached to the stigma. So this process is called as pollination. This pollination can be classified into two types. One is self-pollination and another is cross-pollination. In the self-pollination, the same pollen grains which is consist in the same flower, within the flower, the pollen grains reach to the stigma of the same flower. But when coming to the cross-pollination, the anther produces pollen grains. The pollen grains which are produced by the one flower reach to the another flower stigma. So this is called as a cross-pollination. Self-pollination can be done within the flower, and cross-pollination can be done among two flowers. So you have to know the parts in detail which are going to in this reproduction. So you can observe the detailed structure of the flower, and that flower consists anther. That anther produces pollen grains, and the ovary, style and stigma. The ovary produce ovule, and this style stigma receives pollen grains, and that pollen grains pass through the style and reach to the ovule. So this is the process which occur in the plants to produce their offsprings. So Darwin in 1876, do you know that? That is, Darwin in 1876 showed that plants when isolated had the greatest tendency to self-fertilize, while when surrounded by varieties of the same flower, they readily cross-fertilize. So the plants which are present in our surroundings shows their interest to fertilize with another flower, or they want to cross. Darwin observed that the plant always wants to self-fertilize, but around that one plant, if the same species of the plants present or available around that plant, it shows some tendency to cross fertilize. Thank you children. Another video I am going to